Hey guys, welcome to Dad's Thriving Divorce. This is Dwayne, and today I'm going to chat a little bit about the dilemmas of the family court system. I'm going to hit four main topics on this that you really need to be important, or really need to remember when you're going through family court, because they don't tell you a lot of stuff. Your attorney's not going to sit down and give you a primer on family court, nor is anything else. But one of the biggest problems is not understanding the process. You think you have it figured out, you read some things online, you look at some information and you're like, okay, I think I have this figured out. And inevitably what happens is you get involved, you go in, you find out that the process is a little more complicated than you thought, which is incredibly frustrating. And the way you think things are gonna go isn't the way they end up going. Or your understanding isn't really correct. So I would encourage you to definitely look for information, check out channels like Command the Courtroom from Wendy Hernandez or The Proper Person, Alex Falcone. Both of those channels can give you a lot of good information about the entire process. I would highly encourage you to learn as much as you can so you understand the process, you understand the procedures, you understand what's really going on, because one of the things that will really bite you in the bottom is whenever you don't really know what's going on and things get a little weird, or you think, hey, we're going to go to this hearing and everything's going to get resolved, and you find out that it's an evidentiary hearing and it's really all it's doing is just checking a couple things to get you to the next step. And when you're just dumping money on the ground, like just spraying it all over the place, it's really frustrating when you think, oh, thank God, I'm going to go to court on Monday and everything will be resolved, and you go to court and you leave and you're like, what just happened? Why did I just pay my attorney $1,000 for what? If you understand it, then you're not blindsided by it, and it still can be annoying, but it's a heck of a lot less annoying whenever you're expecting it. Speaking of expectations, the next thing is expecting things to be fair. I fell into this. In the beginning, I figured, we'd go in, the courts would see what was going on, they'd immediately make a decision to fix some of the shenanigans, and that isn't really what happens. And it's kind of frustrating because you're sitting there, you're going in hoping that the family court judge will say, wait a minute, this is a bunch of crap. The problem is there's so much going on, they don't really get to spend a lot of time with everybody. So you really a lot doesn't happen. And you expect things to be fair, but what you really should expect them to be is cautious. And they might see things as not working out right, or maybe they don't really agree with it. But a lot of times they don't turn around and go, no, this is all garbage. We're switching all this around and this is what we're doing now. Most of the time it's going to be a gradual change to see how things go. Like for instance, if you're only seeing your kids a limited amount of time, like every other weekend, or God forbid, even less, don't expect the judge to turn around and go, I think for temporary hearings until we get to the next thing, like I was talking about before, where you think everything's going to get resolved, but there's extra steps. Don't expect them to make big changes. Like for me, whenever we first went to court and the ex unilaterally made all these decisions to limit my time with the kids, I was going in hoping that, bam, it would be 50-50 and this would be over. That's not what happened. The judge increased the time to basically test the waters to see if I could actually deal with it, handle it, and do okay with the kids. The other expectation that's really tough is you expect things to be fast. And I've kind of hit on this in the beginning part of this video. This whole thing, there's a process to get from point A to point B, and it's not a fast process. So don't go in there expecting that you're gonna go in and things are gonna get resolved quickly. More than likely you'll go in and there'll be a temporary hearing to set temporary orders, and then there'll be further information or further things that have to happen. Maybe they'll order a custody evaluation, maybe they'll order mediation, maybe they'll want you to do something or try something out before you get to the next step. Bottom line is they're trying to get you and your ex to make a decision, to work together to come up with a plan that works well for you so the court doesn't have to do it. The problem is, and I don't really think the courts really anticipate this, when you're dealing with a toxic person, when you're dealing with somebody you highly suspect has a personality disorder, they're not going to work with you. So the family court system isn't really geared towards that. So unfortunately, the narcissistic ex the toxic person has a bit of advantage in the early part of this process because the delays, the fact that it isn't fast, is going to work to their advantage to create more drama and chaos and havoc. And the last thing I wanted to hit was being devastated by losses. And now if it's a tremendous loss and you really lose, that's, I mean, there's an emotional impact and you're going to have to deal with it. But a lot of times something just doesn't go our way and we think in the grand picture of it because we know that every little perceived victory to a toxic ex is a humongous victory to them. They feel like they've won everything. They feel like they're on top of the world. And that makes our perceived loss that much more. So you have to keep it in perspective. And no matter what happens, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the last decision on everything going on in your case. If you check out, like I mentioned before, Command the Courtroom and The Proper Person, one thing you'll notice with both of their sites, especially with Alex's The Proper Person site, it's getting things in there that maybe the judge made a procedural error. So that's where understanding the process, learning a little bit about, learning a lot about the law can really help you out, because if the court makes a procedural error, then you have an opportunity to appeal it. And if there's a legitimate reason that they messed up, then you have a good chance of overturning it. Keep that in mind. Just because something doesn't necessarily go your way doesn't mean it's a catastrophic loss and that, you know, everything is done and you don't have any other options. Granted, it's really depressing and it's frustrating whenever things don't go your way, and you know it extends the time frame, and you know that it is going to increase your cost. That's one reason why The Proper Person really focuses on pro se, and even Wendy Hernandez from Command the Courtroom even offers up courses. She is an actual attorney to help train you on the process so that you can represent yourself if you need to. Okay, and the final thing I want to wrap this up with is you have to remember this is a long-term game and to slow yourself down. What I mean by that is if you're going through this, like I said before, it isn't a fast process. You can't expect everything to just happen lickety-split. It would be really nice if it did, but unfortunately it doesn't. And it's a long game, right? So you need to be in for the long-term process. You have to have that perseverance to be able to battle the shenanigans and the craziness that your ex is going to inevitably throw into the process, and be able to deal with it and continue focusing on the end result. The end result is a stability for you, for your children, and to minimize the damage and minimize the impact of the narcissistic, toxic ex on your life. So on that, hopefully you're doing okay. If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions you want to add or you want to add into the discussion, please do that in the comment section below. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye.